Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of American Heroes Outdoors.
This week takes us back to Devil's Lake out of Woodland Resort, where we host the PATRIOT FISH FEST, which is an annual fundraiser and fishing event held on Devil's Lake every year in the winter. A gathering of heroes and ice fishing fanatics for a great cause. You know, this is truly an awesome event put on by Woodland Resort, Devil's Lake Tourism, obviously American Heroes Outdoors, and it's a time to hang out and gather on the ice, hard ice castles, really anything you got, and just get out there and have a good time.
It's going to be a great show, so stay tuned.
American Heroes Outdoors shares the stories of our nation's true heroes, a documentation of journey, commitment, struggle, and healing. A glimpse into the sacrifice and bravery of our service men and women. This is American Heroes Outdoors.
This is our first annual PATRIOT FISH FEST. We've been hosting tournaments as American Heroes Outdoors out of Woodland Resort for 7 years now. But it's been an absolute honor to be able to host the events that we do out of Devil's Lake and Woodland Resort. The community, the people, and the support that we've got from this area and the organizations is phenomenal. It feels like we're right at home every time we come back. Inside of PATRIOT FISH FEST, which is a 3-day event, we have the Honor Our Heroes Ice Tournament, which takes place tomorrow from 7 to 2. And let's be honest, that's why we're all here, to hang out together and catch fish.
Well, you know, I was really disappointed because it looked like COVID was going to wreck another event. You know, I mean, we've lost so many of those, of course, so like everybody has. Talking to Dave Morris, I'm like, well, there was some new rules from North Dakota. We couldn't put that many. Normally, we have a traditional weigh-in and a meal and all that stuff, and we put a couple hundred people in there in that building. Well, we couldn't do it at that point. So I asked Dave. I said, well, we may just have to cancel this thing, and it was disappointing. And he goes, I think I got another idea. So he came back and said, let's do this PATRIOT FISH FEST. And I'm like, well, that's a pretty neat concept, and let's do it where people can be in fish houses and there's snow bears and portables or whatever, it doesn't matter, and we'll do it virtually. And I saw some virtual tournaments last summer, and I'm like, hey, that works. People are getting it. They're actually pretty neat, and I'm just super surprised and happy of the turnout we got. It's great.
We've got to have veterans getting together in these groups and sharing those stories. If the stories don't get shared, they're going to be lost. And so I think in the future, the ability to bring people together, which is what is really the primary goal of this PATRIOT FISH FEST. I think it's important in the future to keep building this, because the larger we can grow that veteran and first responder community that can do get-togethers and gatherings like this, I think that's just important to just continue to honor them and their service, but also to maintain that history.
I went in the Corps and just, like I said, April, went in active duty in July, and by December I was in Vietnam. And we were there for a year, and then I extended for another 6 months. Our battalion was there for 6 years, so there's probably in the neighborhood of 6,000 people went through in our battalion alone, over there, 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines. We suffered 560 killed in action and 3,400 wounded. So but you never heard a lot about that back then, because news media never came with the Marines. In 2005, they activated me. So when I was 55 years old, I went active duty for 2 years. Went through Fort Carson with 18-year-old kids taking a physical, and I made it. So, got out and stayed in until I was 60 years old, and they retired me on my 60th birthday. I retired a master sergeant. That was probably always taking care of soldiers was my job. I mean, my job, and I was very adamant about it, you know. So I think we did a good job. So.
And we just wanted people to be comfortable, and I think that was the biggest thing. We want people to feel like, hey, we can come do this weekend. And probably the bigger decision that we made was that this wasn't just going to be a fishing tournament anymore. In the past, it's been the tournament, and that was really it. And we turned it into our PATRIOT FISH FEST weekend, which is definitely going to continue here on Devil's Lake out of Woodland Resort. You know, everybody likes to come, have a tournament, hopefully catch fish and make a couple bucks. But at the end of the day, we wanted this to be an event that if people wanted to come, even if they didn't want to fish, even if they wanted to just hang out. So first responders, police, firefighters, veterans, we basically said, hey, just come to Devil's Lake, come to Woodland Resort, spend the weekend with us. And we've had a pretty good response. We've got a fair number of people here, and I think everybody's just having a good time. And now people are out trying to catch a few fish.